So Senate Bill 471 has now passed both the Senate and the House. Can you tell us about what it does and how you're feeling now that it's gotten through both chambers?
I am elated that it's through both chambers. I did not realize what a wonderful bill it is till I passed it in the Senate and started getting all the hate calls. And you can almost judge how important your legislation is by those who oppose it. And so there were a lot of people just angrily, vehemently opposing what is a very simple bill. It's a common sense bill. And as I've shared it with other people, I've gotten more than an equal number of people thanking me, just coming up. People that I didn't even know were at all political are coming up and wanting to thank me for this bill. All this bill does in the family life classes that are already designed to be in all the schools, 8th through 12th grade, it will allow a curriculum. And the curriculum is the sequence curriculum. And it's you get your education first, then you get a job or profession or enter into some sort of workspace, then you get married, and then you have children. And if you will do that, those things in that sequence are statistically proven to help you have a more successful life journey. Happier, more content, you're able to take care of your family, able to take care of yourselves. And it's just a sequence that unfortunately, in a lot of children, they don't ever get that modeled, or they don't ever even get anyone to tell them. It's not a profound thing in one way, but it's extremely profound in another, because the absence of it creates confusion, it creates turmoil. Can people be successful? Of course they can. But statistically, if you want to really give yourself the best chance at life, and you typically only get one chance. Now, you do get do-overs sometimes, but you've also got the first part of it to contend with when you go through the do-over. But if you get your education, get a job, start making money, then get married, and then have children. And that is what the bill does, and that is really the Lord's way to do things. Now, when you present it, you don't talk about the scriptural aspect of it, but anyone who knows Scripture knows that that sequential is modeled in the Word and kind of taught in the Word, because there's responsibility, accountability, and those things are all part of your successful walk.
And does this bill encourage the college approach, or the college and the tech school approach, or, what exactly is it encouraging students to do before they get into the workforce?
It's encouraging whatever you feel that you're led to do, because a lot of children now, TCATs are incredible. If somebody knows they want to work on widgets, if they know they want to be an electrician, those are excellent vocations, and you can go to a TCAT and be out in the workforce having a good living and being content and being a contributor to society if you take the way of a TCAT. Whereas if you go to a four-year school and you're not college and you're not sure what you want to be when you grow up, when you spend a whole lot of money and a whole lot of time, you still be wondering what you want to be when you grow up, because it doesn't prepare you for life necessarily. There are lots of ways that are open with the internet now, and with TCATs and with other things, that people can make a decision on what they want to be and pursue that in a relatively short time. And then there are all kinds of jobs that are opening up. And right now in our country, we're going to be returning a lot of jobs and a lot of construction and a lot of things to America. So it's an exciting time for young people, and this is just a very statistically based formulary for being successful in life.
The success sequence legislation just passed in both chambers of the legislature. How are we feeling?
I feel good. It's on its way to Governor Lee's desk, and I have no doubt that he'll sign it.
All right, and can you tell me what is the difference between Tennessee's family life curriculum then versus now that this is going to be in law?
The principal difference is that we'll now have something that focuses directly on family life. That family life curriculum got started in code, I think about 12 years or so ago, and it focused initially principally on sex education and not so much on family life education. And what the Success Sequence Act does is to refocus it on the likelihood that a young person will actually have a successful life if they finish high school, go to college, or enter a trade or technical school, and then get a full-time job, and then get married, and then have children in that order. The data shows overwhelmingly that students who follow that sequence have a 97% chance, or probability I should say, of avoiding poverty, because the latest data that's available indicates that when you look at millennials, those ages 32 to 38 years old, and you look at those who actually followed that sequence, 97% of them avoided poverty, and that includes 95% of black students, 96% of Hispanic students. So it has been proven that following that sequence is our best weapon against combating poverty.
Now, I can already hear the folks in the comments going, a full-time job is not the only way to contribute to the workforce. And so I'm assuming that this encourages really any way of contributing to the workforce and bringing in an income that would go towards providing providing for a family.
Yes, and principally it has to do with avoiding non-marital childbearing. That's the one thing that really shows an indication of a likelihood of poverty when you have young folks who are having children out of wedlock. That statistic is unfortunately very grim, and it's some of the data that we set forth in the bill that was actually filed and that was been passed by both the House and the Senate. So, there are these milestones. Probably the most important one is completing high school. That still is a likely indicator of exactly what economic trajectory a student is going to be on. And then the next most significant one likely is non-marital childbearing. If you have someone who's involved in an out-of-wedlock birth or teenage pregnancy, the numbers just don't typically hold up very well. So if you finish high school, finish your education, become employed or otherwise productively engaged, then get married, and then have children, your chances of having economic opportunity and avoiding poverty are substantial. And we really shouldn't be surprised by that because, long ago, back in the 1960s, Lyndon Johnson initiated this thing called the Great Society, which is a way, he thought, of eliminating poverty. But then, as President Reagan said in the early 80s, we declared war on poverty, and poverty won. And the simple truth is, government can't lift anyone out of poverty. People have to lift themselves out of poverty. That's what these statistics show. The best governmental program, frankly, is not a governmental program at all. It's a family. Folks who actually create a family after getting married and stay together have an overwhelming likelihood of not just finding personal happiness, but economic success as well. So the fact that we can bring that data to students in middle school and in high school as part of a family life curriculum is now just wonderful.
And I'll ask you one last question. Was there any opposition in the House to this legislation?
Sure, of course there was. And most of it, I think, stemmed from a misunderstanding as to what the Success Sequence Act was actually teaching. Most of the criticism came from the fact that, well, not everyone grows up in an intact family. Folks come from broken homes. They have different life experiences. They grow up in poverty. And that we shouldn't be trying to shame them by saying they can only be successful if they follow this sequence. Well, of course, none of that has any merit because when you look at what's actually being taught, it's not necessarily anything having to do with values or opinions. It has to do with facts. And so you're giving young people facts, scientific data about what the likelihood is of avoiding poverty if you follow this sequence. And frankly, it's the community that has grown up in an underprivileged way. Kids from non-intact families where you have a single parent, a widower, divorced parents, separated parents, whatever the case may be. It's those students that really benefit most from hearing this because they didn't grow up with that type of intact family experience. And it's great to put the data before them and say, look, if as they enter adulthood, they follow this sequence, their likelihood of achieving economic opportunity and personal happiness is much greater by following the success sequence than by doing things out of order.